Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you a live update on the developments with the Trump transition. Earlier this evening, Trump made some announcements about his new team, his new administration. Some of those announcements had been reported earlier. Some had not. So we want to do an update on what these developments are, and also we want to take some of your comments and questions on the air about this transition. So you can reach me at @Lookner on X is where you can reach me, @Lookner on X. And also I will be reading messages from the chat as well. And thanks so much to our moderators for being here. We have Ruth Krafasi is here right now moderating over there on YouTube. Thank you so much, Ruth. And Roberts May Queen is here. Thanks very much, Cynthia Moon as well. We also have moderating right now. Idaho Star is over there on Twitch. Thanks, Idaho Star. Oh, and thanks, Hopper, for resubscribing on Twitch. Hopper 69420. Also, we have our Facebook mods I want to thank. Also, Linda Belk and Larry moderating over there on X. Let's see here. Kay Lowry Body is over there moderating. Thank you, Kay. All right, so a bunch of different announcements by Trump. I would say nominations, but not all of them are technically nominations. But announcements by Trump of people that are going to be, at least presumably, in his new administration. We probably should start off with, I Go Viral says Trump already making moves. Dr. Emmett Brown thinks Marco Rubio is not right for that position. Maybe somebody else, somewhere else. We have a bunch to talk about here. Hey, and Ronald Egnor is moderating too. Thanks, Ronald. So I thought maybe we'd start by talking about one of the announcements from tonight, which was Secretary of Defense announcement, Trump announcing that Pete Hegseth, who most recently has been a Fox weekend news host, but also has military experience, he is the Trump's choice to serve as Defense Secretary of Defense. So let's talk about this first. There's a bunch of them to talk about, but let's talk about this one first. Look, I'll first show you Trump's announcement about it. No news on press secretary, no news on attorney general. If I hear anything, I don't think we're going to hear anything at this time of night, but we'll talk about that. But if I hear anything, I'll let you know. We should talk about the whole attorney general thing. So Trump said, I am honored to announce I have nominated Pete Hegseth to serve in my cabinet as the Secretary of Defense. Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Trump says Pete is tough, smart, and a true believer and America first. With Pete at the helm, America's enemies are on notice. He says our military will be great again and America will never back down. Pete is a graduate of Princeton University and has a graduate degree from Harvard University. He is an Army combat veteran who did tours in Guantanamo Bay, Iraq, and Afghanistan. For his actions on the battlefield, says Trump, Pete Hegseth was decorated with 2 Bronze Stars as well as a combat infantryman's badge. Pete has been a host at Fox News for 8 years, where he used that platform to fight for our military and veterans. Pete's recent book, The War on Warriors, spent 9 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, including 2 weeks at #1 in capital letters. The book reveals the left-wing betrayal of our warriors and how we must return our military to meritocracy, lethality, accountability, and excellence. Pete has also led 2 veterans advocacy organizations, including leading the fight for our warriors and our great veterans. Nobody fights harder for the troops, and Pete will be a courageous and patriotic champion of our peace through strength policy. Now, by the way, this is widely seen as a surprise choice. This was not somebody who was on a lot of people's minds as the choice. There's a picture of him right there. There's Pete Hegseth right there. Well, that's kind of an old picture. That's 2016. That's from Associated Press. We'll read a little of that article in a second. Let me get you a different one, maybe. Here's one of him. Well, that's 2017. Hold on a second. Well, here's a photo from 2017. Trump says he will nominate, quote, anti-woke Fox News host Pete Hegseth for defense secretary. Or anti-quote woke. That's from 2017. So this was, I'm going to take some comments from you guys about this. We're going to talk about this choice. We're going to start by talking about this one, because I think this is being seen as pretty surprising. I did see something about, like, for example, as an example, I saw something about what Lisa Murkowski said about this, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski. Yeah, Chad Pergram from Fox News reported that Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, who is a Republican, when she heard that Trump had nominated Pete Hegseth, according to Chad Pergram of Fox News, she said, wow. She said, wow, I just said, wow, I'm just surprised. I'm not saying if that's good, bad, or indifferent. So she didn't offer an assessment. She just said she was very surprised about it. Shelby Talcott, who is a reporter for Semaphore, said that it seems like the whole Hegseth for Secretary of Defense thing came together really quickly. She said, per a source, Hegseth was called yesterday and interviewed today. So this is widely seen as a surprise pick. We'll take some comments from you guys. I'm going to give you some background on this too. But let me know some of your thoughts. And again, in recent years, he has been a host on Fox News on their weekend programming, I believe. Lil Nick thinks there are much more surprises to come. And this is, I mean, the cabinet positions, various cabinet positions are, of course, all important. But this is being seen as one of the most important appointments. Mugen says, I give him 2 months before being replaced. Holly Hargis says, Hegseth looks the same as now. This is a picture from 7 years ago. Some of our viewers are talking about Kristi Noem. We'll get to that. A-Rod says, that's a strange pick. I thought he was going to go with Mike Rogers from Alabama. That's what our viewer A-Rod says. Mark Cuney, our viewer, says, I'm not surprised. Pete is an American patriot. Go President Trump. Jay Hitchcock says he might as well have picked the My Pillow guy. Linda Belk, our moderator, thinks Hegseth is a perfect choice. Former military major and has a great education. Hey, by the way, a quick thank you to Connor Garrity. Thanks for your support. Connor says CNN and NBC are finding out they're fired. Thank you, Cherry Cola and Rick D. Rick D gave some people some gift memberships. That's very nice of Rick D. And thank you, Connor Garrity, again. Connor thinks Trump's picks are fantastic. Thank you, Connor. It's very nice of you. Arcadia, our new member. Heather Lynn, Alaska, thanks for your support. Anatoly D. And Anatoly says, if Pete is Secretary of Defense, then Trump is Nobel Prize winner in economics. We have some differing opinions in our chat about this pick. Marilyn Riley, thanks for being a member as well. Let me give you some background here. Let's get a little background on Pete Hegseth. I have a couple things to show you here. One of these, here's a quick thing. What to know about Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick to serve as defense secretary. There's a photo of him right there. There's one right there. This is from Associated Press. In picking Fox News Channel host Pete Hegseth to lead the Department of Defense, President-elect Donald Trump has selected a military veteran and popular conservative media personality with a large following of his own. I'm just going to peek at his social media for a second. Pete Hegseth has, it's not coming up here, about 400,000 followers on Instagram. He has about 250,000 followers on his X account. And his X account says Fox and Friends Weekend co-host, author, and veteran. Hegseth, 44, has developed a close rapport with Trump, who also reportedly considered him for a post in his first administration. Hegseth has lobbied Trump to release service members accused of war crimes. Here are a few things to know about Pete Hegseth from Associated Press. Co-host of Fox News Channel's Fox and Friends Weekend, Hegseth has been a contributor to Fox News for a decade. He developed a friendship with Trump through Trump's regular appearances on the show. In a statement, a Fox News spokesperson complimented Hegseth's military knowledge, saying his insights and analysis, especially about the military, resonated deeply with our viewers. He's also written a number of books, several for the network's publishing imprint, including The War on Warriors Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free. He is a military veteran. He has served in the military, although he lacks senior military or national security experience, says AP. After graduating from Princeton in 2003, he was commissioned as an infantry captain in the Army National Guard, served in Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as Guantanamo Bay. Okay, he was formerly head of the Concerned Veterans for America, a group backed by conservative billionaires Charles and David Koch, and also unsuccessfully ran for the Senate in Minnesota in 2012. He has a master's in public policy from Harvard University's JFK School of Government. Trump had considered him for a position to run the Department of Veterans Affairs in 2016 and 2018. He has defended service members accused of war crimes, says AP about Pete Hegseth. In 2019, Hegseth urged Trump to pardon U.S. service members who had been accused of war crimes. He advocated for the servicemen's cases on his show and online, interviewing relatives on Fox News. He posted on social media that pardons from Trump would be amazing and added hashtags with the names of those accused to reporting mentioning his private lobbying of the then president. The effort was successful, with Trump that year pardoning a former U.S. Army commando set to stand trial in the killing of a suspected Afghan bomb maker, as well as a former Army lieutenant convicted of murder for ordering his men to fire upon 3 Afghans, killing 2. He would come to the job during a series of global crises. Hegseth would lead the Pentagon with burgeoning conflicts on multiple fronts, including Russia's war in Ukraine, the ongoing attacks in the Middle East by Iranian proxies, the push for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah, and escalating worries about the growing alliance between Russia and North Korea, and who knows whatever else comes up. While the Pentagon is considered a key job in any administration, Defense Secretary was a tumultuous post during Trump's first term. 5 men held the job during Trump's 4 years. I didn't remember that. During Trump's first term, there were 5 secretaries of defense. Trump's relationship with his civilian and military leaders during his first term was fraught with tension, confusion, and frustration as they struggled to temper or even simply interpret presidential tweets and pronouncements that blindsided them with abrupt policy decisions they weren't prepared to explain or defend. Many of the generals who worked in his first administration, both on active duty and retired, have slammed him as unfit to serve in the Oval Office. He has condemned them in return. So a little bit of background on Pete Hegseth, Fox News host, author, military veteran, and now the surprise pick by Trump for Secretary of Defense. I saw an interesting post. I'm going to take some comments from you guys in a moment. I saw an interesting post earlier about him, which was Jake Sherman, who is a well-known reporter on Congress and the government, founder of Punchbowl News. He thinks of all of Trump's nominees so far, Pete Hegseth will have the most difficult time getting confirmed by the Senate. Doesn't mean he won't get confirmed. Now, there's this whole other thing where the Senate is supposed to approve Trump's nominees, but Trump has been pushing for the Senate to let him make recess appointments under which they would not have to be confirmed. There's that. We should talk about that too. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. So it's not even totally clear what's going on with, will the Senate have hearings for all these people? We have to talk about that too. Let me take some comments from you guys on Pete Hegseth, though. Hang on one second here. Let me just look that up for a second, because that's a whole other topic. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I'd like to show you something about that right now, just so, because I think it's important. Okay, let me just give you some background on recess appointments, because you might wonder, like, hey, this is a surprise pick. Might there be an issue, as Jake Sherman says? Might it be hard to get a confirmation from the Senate for him? So before I take a couple comments from you guys on Pete Hegseth, let's just look at a little more background here. I want to show you this. This is from the Washington Post. Trump demanded that senators allow recess appointments. Here's what that means. President Trump is already moving ahead with creating a more powerful presidency than his first one. One of his first moves, demanding that Republican senators let him decide who runs the government rather than the Senate voting on it. When a new president, when a new president takes office, the Senate's main job is to confirm or oppose people the president nominates to serve in key government roles. But Trump told Republican senators who want to be majority leader that they need to step aside when he gets into office so he can unilaterally, by himself, select his leaders. Any Republican senator seeking the coveted leadership position in the U.S. Senate must agree to recess appointments, he said on True Social, saying he wants positions filled immediately. What Trump is asking is technically unconstitutional, experts say, but would be a stark abdication, a giving up of powers on the part of the Senate. And it could just be the beginning of Trump's effort to get what he wants out of Republican Congress. Here's what's going on. It says here, Republicans will hold leadership elections this week to decide the next Senate majority leader. Trump's demand for recess appointments shows he wants a Senate leader who's willing to do his bidding. He's telling senators that he can appoint people without their input. Trump in his post on Sunday argued the Senate takes too long to confirm nominees, but the Constitution says presidents nominate people for their top government roles, and it's the Senate's job to confirm or reject him. Though the Constitution does specify a workaround that presidents in both parties have used over the years. When the Senate is in recess or on break, the president can appoint his or own picks. But that's called a recess appointment. But there are limits to this. After President Obama tried it in 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that recess appointments exceeded his constitutional authority. Now the Senate must be on recess for at least 10 days before a president can make recess appointments. But what Trump is suggesting, as different experts said, rather than take advantage of breaks in their legislating schedule, Trump is asking senators to willingly step aside. A constitutional expert, Sarah Binder, said what Trump is essentially doing is telling the Senate to give up one of its core constitutional roles. The Senate's role of advice and consent was to be a check on who the president wants to be put in these positions. Anyways, we can... all right, so just, again, the reason I'm talking... You might say, why are you talking about this whole recess appointment thing? So... remember, the reason we're talking about this is Trump has nominated Pete Hegseth tonight to be his Secretary of Defense. And this is a surprise pick. A lot of people are very surprised by this pick. In recent years, he has been a Fox News host, although he did serve in the military beforehand. And as I mentioned to you, Jake Sherman, who is a well-known reporter on Congress, thinks that this could be Trump's toughest pick to get the Senate to confirm. But you might wonder, will the Senate even have a confirmation hearing on him? Because Trump is suggesting that he wants the Senate to just allow him to just appoint his people, do recess appointments, while the Senate is not in session. And basically he wants the Senate to say, okay, Trump, we trust you. We're not going to have confirmation hearings for these people. Just appoint them and they can start serving. So I don't know right now. We don't know right now if there is going to be a confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, because we don't know what's going to happen with this whole Trump asking the Senate to allow him to do recess appointments, which would mean that they don't have to confirm those appointments. Sorry, I know it's a lot of explaining and technical stuff, but I just thought that was important to clarify. Okay, let me take some comments from you. So I don't like talking that long all at once, but I thought it was important to kind of set the stage here. Now, some people think that gives Trump too much power. Our viewer, Taika Newby, says, just cut to the chase and make Trump dictator. Pajama Stacking says Senate won't give up its power. Maybe that's a good poll question for me to ask in a second. Remind me to ask that poll question. I'm going to ask you guys about that. When will they have hearings? If they have hearings, says Michelle Batten. That I don't know. I mean, it's going to happen after the new Congress is seated, I believe. When would those hearings be? That's a good question. Do they happen right away? Does it take a while? I don't know what the schedule normally is. That's a good question. I would try to look that up. Let's see here. I Beat Kasparov says the smart ones won't let themselves be picked first. This is a long game. Trump could live to 110? Well, maybe I think what you're partially talking about is that there could be more than one. There were 5 defense secretaries in his first term. Our viewer Jiraiya Sage thinks Trump wants the power Trump wants the power of a king. Danette says, just remember, Trump will hire and fire. Bad Tushari says, why do we even need the Senate anymore? Remember, there's checks and balances. There's 3 branches of government. They're supposed to check and balance each other. New Yorican Joseph thinks that would be dictatorship. Let me show you. So let's look a little more about like what's going to play out with with the Trump request for recess appointments. So you can see Trump demanded senators allow recess appointments. This is from the Washington Post. The Washington Post. Now, this article was written this morning, so it did not include people like Pete Hegseth. As of this morning, the Post thought that Trump's nominees would probably get through the Senate. A president's nominees would need a majority vote in the Senate. Republicans will enter Congress next year with 53 Senate seats. So why is Trump pushing for recess appointments, under which, remember, a recess appointment is when the president appoints somebody while Congress is not in session and they don't have to be confirmed. So why is Trump pushing for recess appointments? Experts say it might be to send a message to Republicans in Congress. It's Trump's show, and they'll have little to no input on what he wants to do these next 4 years. A former aide to Harry Reid, the former Democratic Senate Majority Leader, Jim Manley, thinks Trump is trying to run roughshod over the Republican caucus. Another option is that Trump wants to pick leaders who would not get a majority vote in a Republican Senate. A lot of Trump's policies and the people who could carry them out may not be popular. So remember, this article was written this morning before the latest bunch of nominees. Whether senators who are up for re-election in 2 years would face more backlash for confirming Trump's nominees who end up being unpopular, or for bending to Trump's will in such a way that they're seen as not doing their job, would remain to be seen. So if you're a senator and you're in the Senate right now and you're a Republican, and Trump's like, hey, Republican senators, just let me appoint these people without you confirming them, even though the Constitution says you're supposed to confirm them, just let me do it. If you're a senator, I mean, for example, part of you might say, well, I don't want to lose this important power of the Senate and just give it to the president. But part of you might think, I got to run for Senate in 2 years, which I think about a third of them do, a third of senators every couple of years. And you might think, I got to run for Senate in 2 years. And if I go against Trump on this, he might trash me and not endorse me. And then I could get primaried. So I don't know. So what happens next, says the Washington Post? Several Republican senators have said they are open to Trump's plan to bypass the nomination and have the Senate confirm the nominees process. That is rare. Josh Chaffetz, a constitutional law professor at Georgetown University, said members of Congress are usually loath to give up their constitutional power, even for presidents of the same party. Sometimes Congress has stayed in office in what's known as perfunctory pro forma session majority than recess in full to prevent presidents from installing appointees. This time, all three Republican contenders for the Senate majority position, which Senate Republicans are going to vote on, all three leading Republican contenders seem open to this plan. 100% agree, said Senator Rick Scott of Florida, replied to Trump on social media. I will do whatever it takes to get your nominations through as quickly as possible. Senator John Thune of South Dakota told Fox News Digital that all options are on the table. And Senator John Cornyn of Texas said on social media that the Constitution expressly confers the power on the president to make recess appointments. This constitutional law professor, Josh Chaffetz, said he can't recall an instance when the Senate recessed specifically to let a president appoint government leaders. If Trump succeeds, he could use the same tactic to install judges or even Supreme Court justices without Senate approval. Or he could try to pressure Senate Republicans to get rid of the filibuster. This is a whole other thing. Oh my gosh. So his agenda can more easily sail through. This is a whole other issue where normal legislation, you need 60 votes in the Senate because of this thing, the filibuster. And if you don't, and you can only overcome a filibuster with 60 votes. The Republicans aren't going to have 60 votes. They're going to have 53. So they're going to be limited on, remember, for a new bill to become law, not only the president has to sign it, but both houses of Congress have to pass it. So the Republican Senate will be limited in what it can do by the filibuster. But how much might Trump say to Republicans, get rid of this filibuster thing, which they can if they have a majority, so we can pass all kinds of new legislation, which we normally couldn't. That's a whole other question, which I'm sure will come up. And also, experts said Trump will almost certainly try to push the bounds of what he can issue by executive order rather than go through Congress. So anyways, it's really interesting what is going to happen here. But this is a very interesting question. The Senate, by the Constitution, has the power and is supposed to confirm these big appointments that that Trump is making. But he wants them to basically give up that power and not confirm them and just let him make these appointments while they're not in session, called a recess appointment. And that would mean as soon as he appoints them, that's all you need. As soon as he nominates them, that's all you need. And I think it's especially relevant because now we have this new nominee, Pete Hegseth, this surprise nominee who has served in the military but doesn't have senior leadership experience. And I don't believe he's ever had a government position before. That might be wrong. I don't believe he has. And he has spent recent years being a Fox News host. He is the new Trump nominee for defense secretary. So what is going to happen with the recess appointments? Do you think will there be a confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth? Or will the Senate just not have a confirmation for him hearing and allow Trump to do a recess appointment of Pete Hegseth? That's the question. I'm going to ask this question in the poll right now. Will there be a confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth? So if you think no, you think the Senate's just going to say, no, we don't have to confirm him. We don't have to have a hearing. You're fine, Trump. Just make a recess appointment. All right, so that's why I'm asking, will there be a confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth? That's the nature of the question. I want to hear what you guys have to. I have no idea. I don't know. We'll see what you guys say about this. I think it's really interesting. So I know I'm behind. I'm going to take some of your comments right now. HD says Schumer's still in charge until new senators take office. Congress is not in session right now. Am I right about this? Isn't Congress not in session? I don't know. I have to look this up. Hold on. Let me look this up. Technically speaking, they are in session? I don't even know. Or are they like, I don't even know how it works, like in session but on break or whatever. I guess they are. One of our viewers said tomorrow there's a UAP hearing. All right, I was wrong about that. I was wrong, I guess. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Congress.gov. Why am I not seeing stuff scheduled for November? Days in session. I'm looking at this calendar from Congress.gov. Congress.gov, days in session of the U.S. Congress. Here's November. Well, today is is it because it hasn't happened yet? Today was the 12th. Do they fill them in after? Is that what happens? Strategy Soup said the House is holding hearings tomorrow. How about dates of past sessions? Yeah, so look, it normally goes until technically January 3rd. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you can see here they stay in session. Maybe they have breaks, but maybe in session is not the right word. Because according to this, they're basically almost always in session. So maybe what I'm looking for is, are they like taking a break or in recess or something? I'm sorry, I'm not like Mr. Congressional expert, so I hadn't even thought about this before. Oh, by the way, it's an interesting point by Kay Russ, who says a recess appointment can only stay in place for 2 years. I believe you're right about that, Kay Russ. Wikipedia, a recess appointment is an appointment by the president of a federal official when the U.S. Senate is in recess. Recess is a short intermission. Okay. Is an intermission. Where's the 2 years thing? In current practice, a recess appointment must be approved by roughly the end of the next calendar year and could thus last for almost 2 years if made early enough in the year. Okay. Christine Rector says the vote for Senate Majority Leaders tomorrow, so they are there. Anyways, the new Congress is not seated until January of next year. Oh, you know what though? Hold on a second. If you look at this, this says that usually around January, well, the last few years, January 3rd was the beginning of the Senate 118th Senate session. January 3rd before that, January 3rd before that. So it looks like the beginning of January is when the new Congress comes in. A new Congress begins at, hold on, look at this. From the U.S. House, look, I found it. A new Congress begins at noon January 3rd of each odd-numbered year following a general election, unless it designates a different day by law. Congress lasts for 2 years. So the Republicans will be if I'm thinking of this right, the Republicans will be a majority in the Senate starting in like January 3rd. But the inauguration isn't until when? The 20th, right? So in theory, well, anyway, so there's time between when the new Congress comes in and when President Trump is inaugurated. Oh, I didn't even check the poll. What did the poll? All right, 69% on Twitch. I asked you guys, I said, will there even be a confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth? And a no answer is meant to mean no. The Senate is going to give up its power of confirming Trump's nominees that like Trump wants them to. And so they will not have a hearing. So 69% of people on Twitch thought there is going to be a confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, whereas over there on YouTube, (57% said yes, 43% say no. By the way, a quick thanks to Gringo, who gifted 20 memberships. Wow, that's super nice of you, Gringo. That's super nice of you, Gringo. Thank you. Make sure you thank Gringo or somebody else if they give you a gift sub or a gift membership. Thanks also Stunned in the North for subscribing on Twitch. And thanks to Console for your support. Console says Obama made 32 recess appointments, Clinton 139. So I don't know that anyone has made a recess appointment for a cabinet, or when's the last time that happened? I don't think that's common. Has it ever happened that there was a recess appointment for like cabinet at the start of a new term? I have to look this up. I wonder if the Wikipedia article says anything about this. presidents since George Washington had made recess appointments. Fine. It's a whole thing. It's interesting, whole interesting question. That I don't know, but it's certainly not the usual thing for the president at the start of his term or her term, well, so far his term, to say, hey, let me just appoint my cabinet nominees by recess appointment and don't confirm them, Senate. I'm gonna be reading up more on the whole recess appointment thing because I think it's really interesting. But that's something to keep an eye on, guys. Oh, thanks for voting in our poll, by the way. You can see here, AP had an article about this. Trump pressures candidates for Senate GOP leader to fill his cabinet right away. Trump is pressuring the candidates for the Senate GOP leader, who Republicans and Senate have to pick, to change the rules and empower him to appoint some nominees without a Senate vote. Trump made it clear that he expects the new leader to go around regular Senate order if necessary, to allow him to fill his cabinet quickly. In a statement in X on Truth Social, he said the next leader must agree to allow him to make appointments when the chamber is on recess, bypassing a confirmation vote. The Senate has not allowed presidents to make so-called recess appointments since a 2014 Supreme Court ruling limited the president's power to do so. But with Trump's approval paramount in the race, all three candidates quickly suggested they might be willing to reconsider the practice. Anyways, we're going to talk about some more of the nominees now. Mark Cooper says, do the Republicans have 218 seats in the House yet? No, but they're supposed to end up with more than that because a bunch of races hadn't been called. So if we look here at the Reuters House election results map, I don't want 2020. No, this is it. This is from 2024. You can see it says 216 for the Republicans, 207 for the Democrats. You need 218 for a majority in the House. And you can also see here that Republicans are currently leading in 6 races and Democrats are leading in 4 races. Some of these, of course, are quite close. That one there in Iowa, 1,700 votes. This one here is a couple thousand votes in California. But if Republicans win the seats they are leading in, they would have 222. Oopsie. Devil Doc says, we'll have the House. It's just a matter of time. By the way, thanks to our member, Michael Joseph Murray. Thanks also to Johnny Senna for the gift membership. Thanks Bebop and Rocksteady for your support. I really appreciate that. Thank you to Chris Mishner for your support. Chris says, if Trump picks the wrong guy, he's the first to correct it. You're fired. I don't question anything Trump does. That is from Chris Mishner. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to Martin Gingrich, who says he's taking the Javier Milei approach, and I'm absolutely loving it. Thank you also again to Connor Garrity. So nice of you, Connor. Connor says, Trump knows he's putting the Senate in line. And hey, shout out again to our moderators. I really appreciate them being here. I know we got a little bit of a late start tonight. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to come on and cover some of this. There's a bunch to talk about with this stuff. We'll talk about a different nominee next. We've only talked about Pete Hegseth. We've only talked about Pete Hegseth so far. But that's because we had to talk about the whole recess appointments thing. Ruth Grafasi, thanks for moderating. Roberts, May Queen, Sarah 55, and Linda Belkin Larry, thank you for moderating. Idaho Star and Sarah and Surly Dev, thanks. And thanks to Kay Lowry Body, who's over there on Facebook moderating. Thanks, Kay. Also, Margaret Riley. Also, thanks to Lynn Powell for subscribing over there. Robert Rial II, Leanne Ticknor, Eve Richards. Thanks for subscribing on Facebook. And Margaret and Kay as well. And Lou Green. Anybody else I might be missing too. Okay. Next up, we got to talk about another appointee. There's so many to talk about. Well, another nominee. Give me 1 second here. I want to show you the part of the Constitution about advice and consent. I don't know if it's the specifics on who they are supposed to on who it applies to, on which appointments it applies to. You can see here, advice and consent, United States Senate website. About the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Constitution, advice and consent nominations. The Constitution says the President shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States. I don't know who exactly qualifies as an officer of the United States. So that's a whole other question. But somebody like the Secretary of Defense would. All right. Hey, thanks to Anthony Ciascio. I appreciate that, Anthony. It's so nice of you. Thank you. Also, Roy Lee Walker. Elon and Vivek heading DOGE is going to be wild. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. That's high on my list. Brandy. Brandy says his current choices are not sure. I'm conflicted. Let's talk about. Another nominee that's gotten a lot of notice that was made official today was Kristi Noem. Let's talk about Kristi Noem for a second. Then we'll talk about Elon and Vivek. Kristi Noem got nominated for Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, the South Dakota governor. Let me show you what Trump had to say about that. If I can find it here. Here it is. This was another surprise pick. Donald Trump, I am pleased to announce that the governor and former Congresswoman from South Dakota, Kristi Noem, will be appointed to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Kristi has been very strong on border security. She was the first governor to send National Guard soldiers to help Texas fight the Biden border crisis, and they were sent a total of 8 times. She will work closely with border czar Tom Homan. Oops, it's so small. Can I make this bigger? The announcement is so small here. Oh, there, it's a little bigger now. She will work closely with border czar Tom Homan to secure the border and will guarantee that our American homeland is secure from our adversaries. I have known Kristi for years and have worked with her on a wide variety of projects. She will be a great part of our mission to make America safe again. Governor Kristi Noem said, I am honored and humbled that President Donald J. Trump has selected me to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. I look forward to working with Border Czar Tom Homan to make America safe again. With Donald Trump, we will secure the border and restore safety to American communities so that families will again have the opportunity to pursue the American dream. All right, let me read you a little background about her. There she is, AP article. What to know about Kristi Noem, Trump's pick for Homeland Security Secretary. Trump has selected Kristi Noem to head the Department of Homeland Security, one of the biggest government agencies that will be integral to his vow to secure the border and carry out a massive deportation operation. Here are 5 things to know about her. By the way, some people might, this might seem like stupid to show this, but some people might not know where South Dakota is. Like, especially if somebody's watching from like a different country or something. I mean, there could be people easily in the U.S. who don't know where it is. Not everybody knows where every state is. But if you're watching from, say, another country, you might have no idea where South Dakota is. So let me just show you this. I just have to pull up the map here to show you. Oops, that's not it. Obviously. There's our map from Google Maps. So South Dakota is here. There's South Dakota. Now, obviously, a lot of her job might have to do with dealings on the southern border down here. But just to be clear, that's where it is. So it's not a southern border state, is what I'm saying. I just because I think that could come up. For some people, that might be more important than other people. But I just want to let you know that that's where it is. Okay, so give a little background here. Then let me take a few comments and I'll give a little background of her. A lot of people talking about this dog thing, which was a story she told in her book about killing her dog, that dog story. I don't really want to spend a lot of time on it, but Noem was vilified this year for a story she told in her book about killing her 14-month-old dog named Cricket. Cricket was her hunting dog, but rambunctious. Noem took the dog with her on a hunting trip with older dogs in hopes of calming her down. It didn't work, and then on the way home, Noem wrote that when she stopped to talk to family, Cricket got out of her truck and attacked and killed some of the family's chickens. Then the dog whipped around to bite me, she wrote. At that moment, she said, I realized I had to put her down. She led Cricket to a gravel pit and killed her. Critics lambasted her while she defended the killing of Cricket as an example of her willingness to make hard choices. Anyways, that's what, if you don't know why people are talking about dogs in the chat, that is why people were talking about dogs in the chat. Lynn Powell says, it's a wait and see on her for me. Lots on X mad at her. Ronan says, I would have guessed head of the ATF, but okay. Mrs. Rogers' Neighborhood says, I don't always agree with her stance, but Kristi Noem has been a good governor. South Dakota economy has grown. Hang on a second here. Give me 1 second here. You can write to me on X at Lookner, by the way. I got to check my X in a second here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Second here. trying to read some more comments. Josh says Harris was talking about nuking the filibuster for abortion legislation. This idea isn't really novel, and recess appointments are only good for 2 years. Yeah, so we were talking. Josh mentioned the filibuster thing. I don't want to get. We talked about it before, so I don't want to get too off on that now. But we talked about one thing that might come up in Trump's second term is suggesting that the Republicans in the Senate get rid of the filibuster so they can pass legislation with less than 60 Senate votes, which for most votes they normally can't. And yes, I mean, the idea of having the filibuster, getting rid of it, it's been gotten rid of for certain things, but the idea of just getting rid of it has been talked about before now. But one might wonder if because if Trump's power over senators now is more than that of usually of a president in the past, and if he asked the Senate to do it, are they more likely to do it than they would have been in the past? That's something I think you might wonder. Thank you, Just Josh, for writing in. I am just checking a couple other things people have sent me. Our viewer, Just Data, sent me a clip where Aaron Rupar said there was a video of Pete Hegseth. I don't know if he said it 5 days ago. Aaron Rupar, who I don't think he's making up when this was posted. I think this video might be an older video, but I don't know when it was originally posted. It's a clip of Pete Hegseth, I guess, saying, I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. No, I didn't listen. It's like a YouTube video, I believe. So I would need to listen to the whole thing to know his reasoning behind that. So, but you know, look, it just points out that that there is this question of, will these nominees have to go to confirmation hearings? So I don't want to start making judgments on a clip taken out of context that I know nothing about. But will these nominees need to do confirmation hearings in the Senate, or will the Senate given to Trump and do what he wants, which is basically not hold confirmations on these people and go into recess so that Trump can make recess appointments, which would not require confirmation? Usually the Senate would confirm these people. So I think it's interesting. You know, there may be things that come up about from different nominees where you might say, oh, that might be an issue with their confirmation, but we don't know if there's going to be a confirmation hearing. Thanks to Just Data for sending that in. Terry thinks that Democratic senators may attempt to drag out the confirmation process, and maybe that's why Trump is doing it. Wants it. I don't know about that. I don't know how long they could drag it out. I don't know enough about it. I mean, I will say in the articles I've read about it, I haven't seen the worry expressed that they would drag it out, but I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know how long it could be dragged out. I mean, and what one person calls dragging out, somebody else might say like asking legitimate questions. So I don't know if there's like delay tactics you would use, or is it just asking questions? I'm not an expert on the confirmation hearing process. It's a good question. Hey, let's talk a little more about Kristi Noem. Hold on. Thanks for writing in. So we mentioned that Kristi Noem is his pick for Homeland Security Secretary Department head. She was born in South Dakota. She's 52. AP says she was raised on a ranch and farm outside the city. Her dad died in a grain bin collapse at the age of 49. She said her dad was her best friend. She was involved in a number of businesses before running for the South Dakota House of Representatives and winning. Then she was elected the state's first female governor in 2018. She was reelected in 2022. She worked closely with Corey Lewandowski, Trump's 2016 campaign manager. During the pandemic, she rose to prominence in conservative circles for resisting most government regulations to slow the spread of infections. She's become a regular presence in Trump's political world and at one point was considered to be his running mate. She has been a key Trump supporter, including backing his tough immigration talk. She joined other Republican governors who sent troops to Texas to assist Texas's Operation Lone Star, which sought to discourage migrants. Her decision was met with particularly harsh criticism because she covered most of the deployment costs with a $1 million donation from a Tennessee billionaire who is often donated to Republicans. Noem has described the U.S. border with Mexico as a war zone. When she described the U.S. border with Mexico as a war zone when she sent the troops there, saying they'd be on the front lines of stopping drug smugglers and human traffickers. But records from the Guard painted a more nuanced picture of their mission. Anyways, I want to give you a little background on her. Also, I want to mention something else here. Hold on a second. Let me show you something else. Reuters has an article about her too. Trump picks Kristi Noem for Homeland Security Secretary. Noem, once seen as a possible running mate for Trump, is currently serving her second year as a governor of South Dakota. She rose to nationwide prominence after refusing to impose a statewide mask mandate during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Homeland Security has 260,000 people. It has a sprawling mission that includes border security, countering terrorist threats, and cybersecurity. Noem made several trips in recent years, says the article, to the U.S.-Mexico border, which he called a war zone in January. As governor of South Dakota, which is closer to Canada than Mexico, she deployed dozens of National Guard troops to assist the Republican-led state of Texas with border security in recent years. She faced widespread backlash in April when she wrote in a memoir that she had shot to death an untrainable dog that she hated on her family farm. Some Trump advisors said they believed her stock fell in the former president's eyes after that at a time when she was a vice presidential contender. Let me take a few comments from you on her. Kristi Noem. What do you guys think? Devil Doc says, ICE, U.S. Border Patrol, and U.S. Borders and Customs Protections all fall under DHS. You know, Devil Doc reminds me, I should show you something about DHS. Wikipedia says the Department of Homeland Security is the U.S. federal executive department responsible for public security, roughly comparable to the Interior or Home Ministries of other countries. Its stated missions include anti-terrorism, border security, immigration and customs, cybersecurity, and disaster prevention and management. List all these agencies are part of Department of Homeland Security. The TSA, Transportation Security Administration, is part of Department of Homeland Security. FEMA is part of the Department of Homeland Security, just so you know. The Coast Guard is Department of Homeland Security? Is that true? It is. The Coast Guard is in the Department of Homeland Security. The Secret Service is in the Department of Homeland Security. In addition to ones like, the Customs and INS and that kind of stuff. Nuclear Incident Response Team. Lisa Spann thinks she's not a yes man, not at all. Lisa thinks she's a strong pick. Shadow thinks the only reason Trump picked her is she's attractive. That's what Shadow thinks. Jennifer P. mentioned something with Native Americans. This Reuters article said, the AP article mentioned something about that. Where is it here? It said, testy relations with tribes. The Oglala Sioux tribe told her in 2019 she was not welcome on the Pine Ridge Reservation after she led efforts to pass a state law targeting demonstrations such as those in neighboring North Dakota that plagued the Dakota Access Oil Pipeline. I am hereby notifying you you are not welcome to visit our homeland, said the Oglala Sioux president. He told Noem, if she ignored the directive, we will have no choice but to banish you from the reservation. The governor has also clashed with the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe over 4th of July fireworks displays at Mount Rushmore. The tribe has opposed the fireworks displays at a monument they view as a desecration of land violently stolen from them days ago. Dolly Horton says, I am not too sure about Kristi Noem. I'm afraid this may be an unfortunate pick by President Trump. Give me one more moment here. Let me check something. We're going to talk about Elon and Vivek next. We're talking about some of the developments with Trump, the Trump transition. He has, a number of our viewers have asked about press secretary. He has not announced a press secretary. He has not announced an attorney general. Hey, a quick thanks to Brandy for the gift memberships. That's very nice of you, Brandy. Brian Beelman also gave 20 gift memberships. So nice of you, Brian. Thank you. Bebop and Rocksteady thinks Holman runs the show as basically while Noem helps him navigate the bureaucracy and can get confirmed. Thanks, Bebop and Rocksteady. Also, thanks to French Toaster, our new member, Brian Tampa, our new member, and Bebop and Rocksteady. Vivek and Elon's role ends on America's 250th birthday. We'll talk about that next. We will talk about that next. Thanks, Michael Joseph Murray, for being a member. Yeah, a bunch of people have asked about press secretary. We need to talk about that, and attorney general. And in case you missed it, Trump also has nominated Pete Hegseth, who in recent years has been a weekend host on Fox News, but served in the U.S. military. Pete Hegseth has been nominated for Secretary of Defense in a surprise choice. AP says Hegseth is a co-host of Fox News Channel's Fox and Friends Weekend and has been a contributor with the network since 2014, where he developed a friendship with Trump, who made regular appearances on the show. Hegseth lacks senior military or national security experience. If confirmed by the Senate, if they do a confirmation hearing on him, he would inherit the top job during a series of global crises. Our viewer, Literal Mount God, says this was kind of a surprise pick. I think Kristi Noem was kind of a surprise pick too. Leslie says Hegseth is awesome. All right, so we could talk more about Hegseth and Noem, but I want to move on to the next development we were going to talk about. I should mention also, as one of our viewers just mentioned, I think we might have mentioned it already. I can't remember. As Rare Fine mentioned. As Wikipedia says, Hegseth has been awarded 2 Bronze Stars for his service overseas. The Bronze Star Medal, says Wikipedia, is awarded for either heroic achievement, heroic service, meritorious achievement, or meritorious service in a combat zone. Alexander Jack says, what a circus this will be. All right, I think next we should talk about Vivek and Elon. What do you think? Let's talk about that. Yeah, K. Russ said he had heard Alina Habba was considered a front runner for press secretary. The news outlet Mediaite had this. I mean, I haven't heard that reported by anybody else, so I could certainly see that. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I mean, because she often does like appearances where she speaks for him. In addition, obviously, when she does appearances as his lawyer. But let's talk about Elon first. Elon and Vivek. I need to pull up the Trump announcement of it, though. Oops, now I have it way too big. You know what I need to do? Is... Here is the Trump statement. I'm going to make it bigger for you so you can see it. Let me first do this. I just need, give me 1 minute. I'm going to put that on the screen for you. You can look at it. Literally just give me 1 minute, 60 seconds. I'm returning in 60 seconds. Okay, I'm back. By the way, isn't the Trump meeting with Biden tomorrow? Isn't Trump meeting with Biden tomorrow? Before we get to Elon and Vivek? People are saying, was it Wednesday? Yes, everybody's saying yes in the chat. Ryan Williams, CC, Eliza Jane. Hold on. Hold on a second here. Just give me one moment. Where is the thing I wanted to show you about that? I'm not going to worry about it right this second. Not going to worry about it right now. We want to get to the other thing first. I had it here. I'm going to sneeze in a second, by the way. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's Wednesday. The AP says when Trump meets with Biden Wednesday, it will technically be the first time since 1992 that an outgoing president sits down with an incoming one he competed against in a campaign. Actually, I'll see if I can pull that for you so I can read it to you later, because that's an interesting article. Actually ask them about this. Where do I ask them about this? Sorry, I know the broadcast has ground to a halt. There was an article I want to show you. So I'm just doing what I need to do to be able to show it to you, because I think it's interesting. Why that takes so long to fill that out? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I did what I needed to do. All right, now let's get to what I wanted to get to before. Look, it's Vivek and Elon. Here we go. So Trump announced that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to, well, it's a little confusing because it's not like a new branch of government. Because I don't think he can create a new branch of government or there's like all kinds of regulations about like creating governmental institutions and stuff. But here's what he said. He said, I'm pleased to announce that the great Elon Musk, working in conjunction with American patriot Vivek Ramaswamy, will lead the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. DOGE is kind of like a joke, because it's like refers to this. I want to say it refers to a dog character. Refers to a meme, also to Dogecoin. Yeah, Doge is a meme. It's a, how the best way to say this? It's like an internet joke that features a Shiba Inu dog. You can read about Doge meme on Wikipedia, by the way. So, it's intentional that the name of the department spells out Doge. It's like a joke. Anyways, Excessive Force said he really made it an acronym for Doge. Together, these two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies essential to the Save America movement. This is something that Elon Musk has been pushing. This will send shockwaves through the system, said Musk, and anyone involved in government waste, which is a lot of people. Trump said it will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time. The Manhattan Project, remember, was the crash effort, the enormous secret effort by the U.S. during World War II to build the atomic to build successfully an atomic bomb. That's what the Manhattan Project was, and it helped end World War II. Trump says Republican politicians have dreamed about the objectives of DOGE for a very long time. To drive this kind of drastic change, the Department of Government Efficiency will provide advice and guidance from outside of government and will partner with the White House and Office of Management and Budget to drive large-scale structural reform and create an entrepreneurial approach to government never seen before. So just to be clear, it says this department will provide advice and guidance. It'll make suggestions which the Trump administration can then act on. I don't believe that it has any independent power to do anything, although I guess if Trump will do what they say, then that certainly makes it powerful to a degree, although whatever they suggest to get done would need to be something that Trump himself has the power to do. Because, for example, if they suggest something that you need to pass a law to change, well, Trump can't pass a law by himself. He would need Congress to pass the law, as you see what I'm saying. So it remains to be seen what the suggestions will be and whether they will be acted on. Trump says, I look forward to Elon and Vivek making changes to the federal bureaucracy with an eye on efficiency and at the same time making life better for all Americans. Importantly, we will drive out the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout our annual $6.5 trillion of government spending. They will work together to liberate our economy and make the U.S. government accountable to we the people. Their work will conclude no later than July 4th, 2026. A smaller government with more efficiency and less bureaucracy will be the perfect gift to America on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. I am confident they will succeed. Where is it here? There it is. Okay. Now, I can't really tell you in detail what all this is going to be about. Mackey Cheese thinks that's not happening. Trump will inflate the deficit. Well, in theory, he could inflate the deficit, but do it without inefficiency. So that might not run afoul of this group, maybe. But I think you're saying like that'll be the priority. Not to cut. Roberson says, I can't wait for all the billionaires to tell us we need to live more cheaply. Chaz says, nothing stopping him from extending that date. Kismaru the DK says, I just see it all blowing up in their faces thinking they know better when they really don't. I also don't even know, like, will this organization or whatever it is, will it like produce reports? I mean, I don't even, in theory, we might not even hear what it says. They might just have some private meetings with Trump where they suggest A, B, and C, and it's never made public. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. Jim R. says, less bureaucracy is appealing to many. One of our viewers said, hold on here. Underjolt thinks this is well overdue. Eric Chambers thinks Trump will implement things they suggest by executive order. Leslie Casey thinks they will identify sources of waste and excess, and then laws will have to be passed by Congress. Let's talk some more about this. Hey, by the way, thanks to Brian Beelman. That's so nice of you, Brian. I really appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. Thanks also, Crazy Yoda, for the gift memberships. Wow, really nice of Crazy Yoda. Thanks to Bebop and Rocksteady, who said bought Dogecoin at 2 cents. I don't want to really get into crypto on this stream. Dogecoin has gone up about, about 200% in the last month or so, just eyeballing it. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Thanks to Tim King. Tim King says, so Trump is creating a whole new government department to maintain government efficiency, basically more government, which means more spending, says Tim King. Let's see if I can find you some reporting on this. Trump names Elon Musk. There's Elon right there from Reuters, and there's Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's a picture from Reuters. When it loads, I'll show it to you. It's not loading. There it is. There's Elon with Trump from the campaign from Reuters. And then where's Vivek Ramaswamy? There he is. Oops. Speaking on behalf of Trump there. So Reuters says Trump today named Elon Musk to a role aimed at creating a more efficient government, handing even more influence to the world's richest man who donated millions of dollars to helping him get elected. Musk and former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy will co-lead a newly created Department of Government Efficiency, an entity that Trump indicated will operate outside the confines of government. We already read Trump's statement, but for example, he said the new department will realize long-held Republican dreams and provide advice and guidance from outside of government, signaling the Musk and Ramaswamy roles would be informal without requiring Senate approval and allowing Musk to remain the head of the electric car company Tesla. That's interesting. So they say that, like, because he said they will provide, the statement from Trump says it will provide advice and guidance from outside of government. So I guess in some way, does that, like, is that supposed to, like, remove ethics concerns? Like, well, how can somebody with government contracts work for the government? Well, technically they're not working for the government. I mean, what does outside of government mean? If you're not on the payroll, but you have, like, this officially given title and responsibility, are you technically part of the government? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Let's see here. Reuters says Musk, ranked by Forbes as the richest person in the world, already stood to benefit from Trump's victory, with the billionaire entrepreneur expected to wield extraordinary influence to help his companies and secure favorable government treatment. With many links to Washington, Musk gave millions of dollars to support Trump's presidential campaign and made public appearances with him. Adding a government portfolio to Musk's plate could benefit the market value of his companies and favored businesses such as artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. Equities analyst Daniel Ives of Wedbush Securities says it's clear that Musk will have a massive role in the Trump White House, with his increasing reach clearly across many federal agencies. This analyst said, "We believe the major benefits for Musk and Tesla far outweigh any negatives, as this continues to be a poker move for the ages by Musk betting on Trump," he said. The move was criticized. The move to make Elon and Vivek the head of this, I guess it's a new Department of Government Efficiency. The move was criticized by Public Citizen, a progressive consumer rights NGO that challenged several of Trump's first-term policies. Musk not only knows nothing about government efficiency and regulation, his own businesses have regularly run afoul of the very rules he will be in a position to attack in his new czar position, said the co-president of Public Citizen. This is the ultimate corporate corruption. Musk had said at a Trump rally in Madison Square Garden in October that the federal budget could be reduced by at least $2 trillion. Discretionary spending, including defense spending, is estimated to total $1.9 trillion out of $6.75 trillion in total federal outlays for fiscal 2024. At the rally, Musk said, "Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook." The acronym of the new department, DOGE, also references the name of the cryptocurrency Dogecoin that Musk promotes. Reuters says in August, Musk and Tesla won the dismissal of a federal lawsuit accusing them of defrauding investors by hyping Dogecoin and conducting insider trading, causing billions of dollars of losses. Dogecoin has more than doubled since Election Day. Vivek Ramaswamy, the article adds, is the founder of a pharmaceutical company who ran for the Republican presidential nomination against Trump and then threw his support behind Trump after dropping out. Ramaswamy said the appointment means he is withdrawing from consideration for the pending U.S. Senate appointment in Ohio, where Governor Mike DeWine will appoint a replacement for J.D. Vance, who's going to be the vice president. Anyways, what do you guys think about this new Department of Government Efficiency headed by Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk? Devil Doc says, "I'm cool with it." Mike says it's brilliant. CC Reagan says it is needed. Renton says meh. Richard says it's based. Clearly Crystal Clear says, "Let's see what they come up with. Sounds good and very needed." Sunny Kim says, I think they can't possibly get rid of enough in the time they have. Again, this organization, can't actually do anything. They're going to be making suggestions. Artist Caverlin says, I'm highly skeptical. Shaft says, make government great again. Jesse's Girl says, well, they are both geniuses. Deej says, it doesn't seem like a bad idea, but I do not believe these people will run it properly. Are there going to be other people working in this department? Is there going to be any money put towards it? That I don't know. By the way, thanks to Brian Beelman. Also, B. Earhart, our member, thank you. Also, IndyCar. IndyCar, thanks so much. I appreciate your support. Katie Cockrell says, has any other president done stuff like this? I don't know if a president has ever done something similar to this, but I actually don't know what this is yet. We'll have to see what this ends up being. Oh, let me show you. Let me give you a little perspective here. Let me give you a little more perspective on this. Hang on a second here. So here's an article on it from the Washington Post. Trump announced today he is appointing business executives Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a new commission on cutting government spending and regulation, handing an enormous portfolio to the tech billionaire who gave political and financial support to his presidential bid. It is not clear how the effort will be funded or whether its recommendations will be approved, because federal spending is controlled by Congress and the White House, not this organization. Still, Republicans are poised to control the House, Senate, and White House, giving the GOP the opportunity to implement at least some of the commission's proposals, potentially triggering major repercussions for the U.S. government and millions in federal workers. Ramaswamy said in an interview, "We have a fourth branch of government, the administrative state, that our founding fathers didn't envision. Removing the excess bureaucracy is going to be good for our economy and for our national spirit." Still, some analysts are doubtful that much will materialize from the effort. Congress must approve any changes to federal appropriations, and it is not clear if the Musk Commission will produce recommendations in time for action by the new GOP majorities. Trump's statement said the commission's work must be completed by no later than July 4th, 2026, not long before the next midterm elections. The Washington Post also says Trump's promises for the commission's impact have also been described as unrealistic. During the campaign, Musk called for the commission to find $2 trillion in cuts to the federal budget, a sum far larger than the budgets of the Departments of Defense, Education, and Homeland Security combined, which even some conservative budget analysts have panned, including one who described it as absolutely absurd. Musk's elevation to lead the commission comes amid concerns about his array of personal business interests with the federal government. His companies in the audio and space industries have grown through government contracts and subsidies, and he has long criticized government regulation of his firms. After souring on President Biden, Musk has emerged as a key Trump ally during the presidential election, donating more than $118 million to Trump's campaign and running his most significant get-out-the-vote operation through a super PAC, America PAC. Ramaswamy rose to prominence as a candidate in the presidential primaries. During that campaign, he embraced extreme cuts to the federal government, at one point calling for reducing the workforce in the government by over 75%. A person familiar with the effort who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the details of this new organization's funding would emerge soon. The GOP had talked about reducing waste for many years, but had not been effective, the person added, leading the campaign to the conclusion that outsiders with a much more entrepreneurial approach were better suited to the task. This is interesting. This analysis here. Some Trump advisors see Musk's new commission as an opportunity to implement long-sought goals to reduce federal spending and regulation. They have pointed to the Grace Commission, a Reagan-era panel that recommended billions of dollars in spending cuts. Under that model, which some Trump advisors hope the Musk plan will emulate, the commission identified hundreds or thousands of examples of wasteful government programs and regulations and called on Congress to approve the recommendations backed by the president. Those efforts, however, are unlikely to meaningfully alter the nation's growing fiscal imbalance. The federal debt is already on track to surpass its historic highs in the aftermath of World War II, and Trump has also pitched more than $7 trillion in additional tax cuts as president. Some conservative budget estimates have said there are tens of billions of dollars in savings available from cutting waste and fraud, but not much more. Tens of billions, not trillions. The Constitution gives Congress authority over taxation and spending, meaning any federal budget changes recommended by Musk Commission would have to be approved by the House and the Senate. Some Trump advisors have explored novel legal theories for independently changing federal spending law, although those ideas would face legal objections if pursued. Some Trump advisors have expressed optimism that the commission could be bipartisan and include prominent business leaders with nonpartisan reputations. One GOP official said that would be less likely given the choice of Musk and Ramaswamy to lead the effort. Interesting. That's from the Washington Post. But it just shows you, that article gives you a sense of this new Department of Government Efficiency, which Trump says that Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to lead. What is it going to do? Is it going to be funded? How's it going to be funded? What's it going to recommend? Will any of these recommendations actually come into being? Will these recommendations require Congress to act? Will Congress act on them? What will the effect of any changes be? How much can they really do? These are all questions we don't know the answers to right now. Chaz Martin says it's going to be lit. That was an interesting article. I like when the articles give some analysis. Complex Pixel says time will tell. That article, I don't know that that's a very left-leaning article. The Washington Post, I think, generally leans to the left. But I do think, there's like the editorial page. But I think an article like that, I think you could read an article in a more conservative publication and find similar analysis of this. Darren Charlo says, I'm still not convinced this isn't a conflict of interest for Musk. So those concerns have been expressed that, he has these big businesses that have dealings with the U.S. government and U.S. government policies can make a significant difference to the profitability of his businesses. But he seems to be very close to the government right now. So that is a concern that others have raised, aside from our viewer right there. By the way, if they do cut a lot of government departments or something, that could mean a lot of people get fired from their jobs, obviously. Ronan says they said Twitter wouldn't survive when he cut 3/4 of the employees. It's number one in thriving. Now, Twitter is still certainly operating. It's X now. So certainly it is kept operating. There are different opinions on whether it has flourished or not. I don't believe business-wise it's doing better than it was, like profitability-wise. Some people have complaints that they feel like it should be more strongly moderated. Other people are more happy that it's not as moderated as before. But our viewer points to that and says like, hey, he cut positions at X and it's still going. By the way, thanks to Jeff Willis 80 for your support. Jeff thinks the department will be a way to threaten agencies if they don't give Elon Musk his contracts and government subsidies. He will threaten jobs. Wow, that's what Jeff Willis thinks. Thanks to Captain Jerry Donnelly, who says, Hillary healthcare task force like Elon's task? Are you saying they're similar? I don't remember Hillary healthcare. You're saying like the healthcare task force under Clinton? Man, I do not have the background to offer a comparison of those two. I mean, if you want to read about the task force, you can go to Wikipedia, for example, where they say, once in office, Bill Clinton quickly set up the task force on national health care reform headed by First Lady Hillary Clinton to come up with a comprehensive plan to provide universal health care for all Americans. So you're saying that's a case also of an organization that was set up by the president to provide some advice on an important issue or issues, and it was headed by somebody who was not an elected official. I see what you're saying, Captain Jerry Donnelly. Captain Jerry Donnelly, it's an interesting comparison. Oops, sorry. Let me just go back here. Thank you, Captain Jerry Donnelly. Also, Jeff Willis 80 again. Jeff thinks DOGE sounds like the old Lean Six Sigma stuff of prior administrations which accomplished nothing. Also, Jeff doesn't think Musk knows about government operations. Jeff Willis, our viewer, is skeptical. Hey, thanks, Steak You Later, for the bits. Thanks also B Walter73 for subscribing on Twitch. That's really nice of you. Thanks also to JRW Fan for your support. Says, not all of Trump's nominees are my first choice, but I still love his choices so far. DOGE's power will be daylight. Van Smythe says Trump had 4 different chiefs of staff in his first term. Is that true? Were there 4 of them? I forget. I mean, you can look it up on Wikipedia where it says Trump. Yes, Reince Priebus, John F. Kelly, Mick Mulvaney, and Mark Meadows. Rita says it was the most ever. Is that true, Rita? Ghost of Putin says there was a lot. Oh, one of our viewers mentioned Elon put out a statement about it. I think, did he post a bunch of things about it? I don't even know. I saw some things he posted today, but... He's made a lot of posts in the last few hours, Elon Musk. He posted some like memes about the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. He said, either we get the government efficient or America goes bankrupt. Well, we'll see what happens. Hey, I want to, Joe says Dogecoin spiked yesterday. It's been going up for weeks. Thank you, Doge, for your support. And Cajun shrimp. All right, we should talk about next. We haven't talked about Attorney General and Press Secretary. We haven't talked about either of those yet. It's interesting. I feel like we're just kind of rushing through these different topics. There's a lot to say about each of these topics. We talked about Pete Hegseth being nominated for Department of Defense. That was a surprise. We talked about whether he's going to have a confirmation hearing because Trump wants the Senate to basically not confirm his appointees like the Constitution says they're supposed to, and basically allow him to do this thing called a recess appointment where they don't confirm them and he gets to just appoint them for 2 years. And we talked about Kristi Noem, nominated for the Department of Homeland Security, which I think was kind of a surprise too for a lot of people. And we talked about Trump saying that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to head this new government department, which there's a lot of questions about what exactly it'll be and what it'll do. But the Department of Government Efficiency, we talked about that. But that's just not even that many things. We should talk about Attorney General and Press Secretary. I know people have been mentioning those. Oh, Schaff mentioned that Elon Musk said today all actions of the Department of Government Efficiency will be posted online for maximum transparency. Now, I will say sometimes Elon in the past has said things about X which didn't happen. So I don't know if we'll see if that happens. I don't know if it's going to happen. He says, anytime the public thinks we are cutting in something important or not cutting something wasteful, just let us know. We will also have a leaderboard for most insanely dumb spending of your tax dollars, he said. Thanks, Schaff, for pointing out that comment of him today. Thank you, Schaff. Terry says this. I have no idea if this is true. Terry, our viewer, says, Jimmy Carter promised he would get rid of deadheads and waste. He found the agencies were filled with civil service do-nothings who could not be booted from their jobs. It is an interesting question whether, like, this Department of Government Efficiency will call for anyone to lose their job, which is not allowed to be fired for some reason. Or, I mean, look, there could be all kinds of regulations about or laws against, cutting X or firing people without cause or without a hearing or something. So these are all legal questions and regulations questions. So what they'll actually be able to do and what they do, I do not know. We'll have to see. Alex Malarkey believes that Pete Hegseth is an isolationist and anti-Ukraine. I voted for Trump, but this pick worries me. That's what Alex Malarkey said. I'm not really familiar with his positions. I should maybe try to show you something more. We read a couple articles mentioning him before, but maybe I can show you something. Hold on. Oh, there's some new analysis by the Washington Post. And I know the Washington Post isn't like the biggest fans of Trump at all, but they might have some more background on him. They have a new article which came out about him. So let me just see what they said, if they have any background here. I have way too many things open on my desktop. Sorry, just give me a second here. Let me just do this. All right, hold on. Let me mention this. So the Post has an article tonight, the Washington Post, and it says Trump's pick of Pete Hegseth to lead Pentagon signals turmoil ahead. Pete Hegseth, again, is a he served in the military. Also, he was working as a host on Fox News on the weekend. I think Fox and Friends Weekend, there's a picture of him right there from the Reuters article. But the Post said that he has assailed the military as ineffective and denounced senior leaders as having failed to safeguard American strength. The Washington Post says that he has assailed the military ineffective and woke, and blasted top military brass as having failed to safeguard American strength. The Post thinks that Hegseth's nomination suggests a coming battle over social and personnel issues for the military, historically one of the nation's most diverse institutions, but one that, like others, has long been plagued by allegations of gender and racial exploitation or bias. He has been among Trump's most high-profile supporters, Pete Hegseth, to champion the cause of rolling back initiatives to promote diversity in the military. Throughout his campaign, Trump made a distinction between fighting generals and woke generals, vowing to fire the latter. On Fox News earlier this year, Hegseth said Donald Trump has a real opportunity to clean house at the top, change the ethos of the military, the general beliefs of the military, and unleash it to fight and win. Hegseth, by the way, served as an Army infantryman in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as a member of the Minnesota National Guard. They did say, this is interesting, they say Hegseth's selection did not please every Trump ally. According to the Washington Post, one person who has advised Trump for years contrasted Hegseth with more experienced public servants like Michael Waltz, who Trump nominated as National Security Advisor, and Marco Rubio, who is likely Trump's pick to lead the State Department. And this person who has advised Trump for years, according to the Post, questioned whether Senate Republicans, who will control the chamber starting next year, would back his nomination. The person told the Post, "How is Tom Cotton going to defend this pick?" Joni Ernst, he said, referring to two Senate Republicans with national security credentials. Everyone else is a bullseye, meaning all of Trump's other picks. Everyone else is a bullseye, and this one isn't even on the target. A Democratic Senator, Elizabeth Warren, who's no fan of Trump, said in a social media post that Hegseth is not qualified for the job. But anyways, it's interesting that the Post points out that Hegseth has recently talked about making big changes in the military, getting rid of people. So that's why their headline says his pick of Pete Hegseth to lead Pentagon signals turmoil ahead. What is the other thing? Oh, there wasn't the thing. What was the thing about the generals that was reported today? Hold on. I'm going to take some of your comments in a second. The Washington Post had an article today that said Trump draft executive order would create board to purge generals. That's what the Wall Street Journal was reporting. Let me just mention that for a second, because we talked about, as the Post was saying, that the choice of Hegseth to lead the Defense Department could suggest that there might be getting rid of some people in the military. So the Wall Street Journal says that the Trump transition team is considering making an executive order that would establish a board with the power to remove 3- and 4-star officers and recommend removals of any deemed unfit for leadership. If Trump were to approve such an order, it could fast-track the removal of generals and admirals. But the Wall Street Journal says it could also create a chilling effect on top officers in the military, given Trump's past vow to fire woke generals, referring to generals who, say, promote diversity at the expense of military readiness. And something else, a little other perspective here. The Wall Street Journal points out that Trump, as commander-in-chief, has the power to fire any officer that he wants. But he says an outside board, if he appointed an outside board, he said if he appoints an outside board, that would bypass the normal Pentagon promotion system. And that could be a signal that he intends to purge a number of generals and admirals. The journal says that Trump has called in the past for purging what he views as failed generals, including those involved in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. The Wall Street Journal, which is not a left-leaning publication, in their article about this, they say some former officials believe the Trump administration is looking to politicize the military. And and then they talked to one professor of military law at the Wall Street Journal who said this proposed board makes it look like the administration is getting ready to purge anyone who will not be a yes man. Anyways, if you want to read the article, it's at the Wall Street Journal. The title is Trump Draft Executive Order Would Create Board to Purge Generals. That's in the Wall Street Journal today. So I wanted to mention that, but you can go read the whole article if you want to. I've been wondering what's going to happen like when Trump takes office on January 20th. Are we going to see a lot of big initiatives right away? We talked about the possibility of getting rid of generals. How soon could some kind of deportation start? What kind of executive orders is he going to make right away? I don't know. Well, let me take some comments from you guys. If you just go to the Wall Street Journal, my guess is that it's probably like on the front page. Let me just see there. It's the third article down on the front page. It may be paywalled there. But if you, I mean, literally at WSJ.com, it's like the third article down. Devil Doc thinks the military has already been politicized. Hey, thanks, Brian Beelman. That's really kind of you, Brian. Thank you. Let's see. Brandy says Trump was president for 4 years and all the blank people said would happen didn't. Well, I mean, a couple differences this time. First of all, just to play devil's advocate, a few arguments somebody might give why this might be different. First of all, Trump and people with him will now have the experience of how, from the first 4 years, of how government works and know how things work. Second of all, so I've heard lots of reporting that suggests that they've been preparing to have an administration in place quickly and hit the ground running, as opposed to what happened in 2016. When they came into office. Also, it certainly looks like Trump is going with people who are known to be very loyal to him in his cabinet and for these high positions, which was not the case in the first term. And some believe that he was restrained in the first term by people around him in these higher up positions, which they think that might not be people who are, these people around him now are not going to be people who are as likely to restrain him. So these are all arguments someone might make that it might be different than the first term. So I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just saying some believe that there's going to be a significant difference there. Thanks, by the way, to Michael for Reals. Michael says purging generals and similar actions in other countries has triggered military revolts. You know, it's like, look, if like with any president, if you're going to start firing people, you're going to want to you probably want to try to do it in a way that doesn't upset the people who are still there. I genuinely don't know how sweeping actions might be when he gets into office, what kind of things he might do or not do. I don't know. We'll have to see. Thanks, Veritas Justus, for your support. I appreciate it, Veritas. James Kuhn thinks purging military now will prevent a revolt. By the way, excuse me, the Wall Street Journal story, it doesn't say that's going to happen. It says this executive order to create this commission is being considered. It says Trump draft executive order would create board to purge generals. But it doesn't say it's definitely going to happen. Cami Duda thinks Trump knows the game now. Rita says most generals are not just random appointees. They are decorated career military men who have served proudly for their country. Just because their politics may be different does not mean they are bad. Renton says Republicans have Senate presidency and soon to be the House. There will be nothing in their way. Well, the filibuster is in their way. That's one thing. Will Trump tell the Senate to get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any kind of legislation with a majority vote rather than 60 votes? The risk there, though, is if they do that, then if there's a Democratic Senate sometime in the future, then they'll do the same thing. That's one risk. I keep meaning to. We haven't even gotten to press secretary. Oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten to press secretary, and we haven't gotten to. We haven't gotten to. We were going to talk about something else. Press secretary and attorney general. By the way, this is happening tomorrow. Biden's White House invitation to Trump continues a tradition Trump shunned in 2020. Trump will return to the White House briefly at the invitation of Democratic President Joe Biden tomorrow. That might make for an awkward encounter, especially given that after Biden ousted Trump in 2020, Trump offered no such White House invitation to Biden. Trump left Washington before the inauguration, becoming the first president to do so since Andrew Johnson skipped the 1869 swearing-in of Ulysses S. Grant. That is from AP. When the two meet in the Oval Office tomorrow, it'll technically be the first time since 1992 that an outgoing president sits down with an incoming one he competed against in campaign, because Biden was originally running against Trump. Biden's White House invitation to Trump includes his wife, the former and now incoming First Lady Melania Trump. Trump and Obama held a longer than scheduled 90-minute Oval Office discussion days after Trump's 2016 election. The official transition process does not mandate that presidents invite their successors to face-to-face meetings, though it can feel that way. There's a picture of Trump and Obama in 2016, after Trump was elected. Bush and Clinton at the White House after Bush was elected. Wait, what is this? Right? After Clinton was elected. After Clinton was elected. This is Bush, and this is Bush after Bush was elected. So I had my years split up. This was George Bush, and then George H.W. Bush, and then George W. Bush. I was getting my Bushes confused. That's in 2000, after George W. Bush was elected. That is in 1992, after Clinton was elected. These are the different White House meetings from AP. And there's Obama in 2008, in November, meeting with George W. Bush. Interesting. Hey, thanks, Corn Pop. I don't think we've talked about Tom Homan yet. We'll talk about it if we have time. We're running. This has taken long. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like there's been so much stuff to talk about. We haven't gotten to as much as I wanted to. Maybe we can talk about it at the end. Thank you, Corn Pop. We still haven't talked. I'm sorry, I keep saying we'll talk about Attorney General. We're talking about Attorney General and Press Secretary. Okay, who do you guys think that Trump is going to nominate for Press Secretary? What do you guys think about Press Secretary? Again, Mediaite claimed that Alina Habba was a front runner. Mediaite is, I would say, a left-leaning media news outlet. Alex Jones? Some of our viewers are saying Alex Jones. Roseanne? Ben Shapiro? Candace Owens? Jade says, I saw Candace Owens was being considered. Alina Habba, by the way, is Trump's lawyer, who often speaks for Trump in public. Peter Doocy from Fox. What if he named would he name a second Fox News person? Hulk Hogan says Carlos. Wait, Hulk Hogan, he successfully sued one, says Carlos Discounts? I don't even know about that. Hang on a moment. I'm behind. I'm going to leave that comment for now because I want to just look something up. Maybe we'll do a poll. Kid Rock? The news outlet The Hill claims that the news outlet The Hill had an article about 5 possible picks, and they said 5 they mentioned were The Hill claims that Carolyn Levitt is the favorite, and she was the Trump campaign's top spokesperson and messenger, Carolyn Levitt. They also mentioned Stephen Chung, Trump's spokesperson during the campaign, Alina Habba, one of his lawyers, Scott Jennings, who has done a lot of Republican, he's been like a Republican commentator on CNN, and Jason Miller, one of Trump's longest campaign aides. Those are 5 names that The Hill mentioned. Oh, does Reuters have something about this? Hang on. No. Maybe we'll do a poll. Okay. The Washington Post says Carolyn Levitt is a potential candidate. Carolyn Levitt was a national press secretary for Trump's 2024 campaign who handled inquiries from reporters and also played a highly visible role on TV. An alum of the first Trump administration and a former congressional candidate, she shares Trump's criticisms of the press. I have the great pleasure of fighting the fake news media all day, every day, she said in a warm-up speech at one of Trump's rallies. That's Carolyn Levitt. Here's Carolyn Levitt. Okay. All right. So let's do a poll. We're going to do a poll of who will Trump's pick be, and we have to put Carolyn Levitt as one of the choices and Alina Habba. Who will Trump's press secretary I think we're going to definitely put on there Carolyn Levitt, Alina Habba. Who should the other 2 choices be? I guess we can only do one more choice on YouTube and then others. Alex Jones. I mean, do you think Alex Jones is I don't know that Alex Jones is a realistic choice. Scott Jennings. Let's pick Scott Jennings, Peter Ducey, Tucker Carl. I mean, I can only put 3 choices up there for YouTube and then other. So the third one should be a somewhat realistic one. You know, Carrie Lake, one of our viewers mentioned Carrie Lake. A viewer, somebody who followed me on X suggested Carrie Lake. I thought Carrie Lake was an interesting suggestion. I mean, she was a news anchor for a long time. So, although somebody on X pointed out that she lost, and maybe Trump doesn't like that she lost, but I thought that was an interesting suggestion, the Carrie Lake one. Dan Bongino. All right, I gotta just give me a third pick. Who's a realistic third pick? I have Carolyn Levitt and Alina Habba, which both have been mentioned in the media. Give me a third pick so I can post the poll. Peter Ducey? Is that realistic? I mean, would he pick Peter Ducey after just picking a Fox News host to be his defense secretary? I don't know if he's going to pick another Fox person. Evan thinks it'll definitely be female. Candace Owens? How is his relationship with Candace Owens these days? I don't even know. Kayleigh McEnany? She was already it, right? I don't see like a general... There's no like consensus about the third choice I should put up there. I just got to pick one. I'm just going to say Candace Owens because I want to get the poll posted. All right, a lot of you suggested Candace Owens, so I'll put her on there. Oops. There. I'm posting it on Twitch too. Megyn Kelly. I don't think Megyn Kelly would do the job. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think she would see it as like a step down in a way. Not that she wouldn't work in the administration, but just to be press secretary. I mean, she's like a big media figure. I don't know that she would do that. That's just my gut instinct. Who knows? No, I didn't post it in Twitch. I have to post it in Twitch now. I can put more choices on the Twitch one. All right, here's what people are saying on YouTube. On YouTube, 13% say Carolyn Levitt, which The Hill, one of the articles, I don't know if it was The Hill, I think The Hill claimed that she was the favorite. There's also Alina Habba, Trump's lawyer. Not that many of you said those two. 40% said other. You never know, though. I mean, I think Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth were surprises. Who knows who it's going to be? Over there on Twitch, 3% said Carolyn Levitt, 48% said Alina Habba. 10% Candace Owens, 13 Peter Ducey, 26 other. Wow, Gringo, that is really nice of you. Gringo just gave 20 more people memberships. Oh my goodness. Thanks so much, Gringo. That's really nice of you. Make sure you thank Gringo if he gave you a membership. That's an AP article up there, by the way. Thanks, Stake You Later, for your support on Twitch. Stake You Later. Thank you. And did I thank B. Walters 73? All right. We're wrapping up this poll. We're going to talk about maybe one more thing on this stream real quick. It's getting late here. It's getting late, guys. It's getting late. Thanks for voting in the poll. I want to cover, we'll talk about Attorney General for a second if we can. Also, I do want to mention, $9 million things open on my desk. Somebody mentioned Tom Homan. This is an article from, it's an article from Reuters. We didn't even talk about Elise Stefanik. Tom Homan borders are. Trump announced on Sunday Tom Homan, the acting director of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement during Trump's first administration, will be in charge of the country's borders. Trump made cracking down on people illegally in the country a central element of his campaign, promising mass deportations. Homan said on Monday he would prioritize deporting immigrants illegally in the U.S. who pose safety and security threats, as well as those working at job sites. Also, Elise Stefanik, Republican congressman, big Trump supporter, is going to be the ambassador to the UN, Trump announced. Stefanik, 40, a U.S. representative from a New York State and House Republican conference chair, took a leadership position in the House in 2021 when she was elected to replace then Representative Liz Cheney, who was ousted for criticizing Trump's false claims of election fraud. Stefanik will arrive at the UN after bold promises by Trump to end the Russia-Ukraine war and Israel's war in Gaza. He named his campaign manager, one of his two campaign managers, Susie Wiles, as his chief of staff. She will be the first female White House chief of staff ever. How about Attorney General? I want to talk about that for a second. That's seen as a big one because, it's not clear if Trump is going to try to, use the Justice Department to persecute his enemies. So, who's Attorney General is being looked to see is that a person who's going to just do whatever Trump wants or might fight Trump on some stuff? I don't know. John says Pam Bondi. Real quick, you can see here from Wikipedia, Stephen Miller is also close Trump advisor. known as a big hawk on immigration. He was given a position as well. Trump's first picks for immigration policy jobs spent the last 4 years angling for this moment. Stephen Miller and Thomas Homan had critical roles in the first Trump administration and are unapologetic defenders of its policies, which included separating thousands of parents from their children at the border to deter illegal crossings. Miller and Homan portray illegal immigration as a black and white issue and applaud Trump's policy of targeting everyone living in the country without status for deportation. These are his picks for immigration policy jobs. Doesn't say, though, just to confirm what Stephen Miller is going to be doing. Here. I found it. Here are the people Trump has picked for key positions so far. Where is it here? Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, an immigration hardliner. Tom Homan is border czar. Elise Stefanik is United Nations ambassador, if she's confirmed. Tina LaPlaca says Trump team is all coming together. Corn Pop, thanks. Corn Pop says Ted Cruz perhaps for Attorney General. Yes, as IndyCar says, we mentioned this earlier. Senator Marco Rubio is believed to be the Secretary of State choice. Thanks, John Wayne. Although John looks like he broke the rules. Thanks, John Wayne, for your support. Hang on a second here. So Fox News has some claims about who's on the list for Attorney General, okay? Fox News says that Senator Mike Lee of Utah is in the running. They had said John Ratcliffe. But John Ratcliffe was already chosen by Trump today to be CIA director. See? As AP says, Trump picked John Ratcliffe, the former Texas congressman who served as director of national intelligence during his first administration, to be the director of the CIA in his next. All right, so it's not going to be John Ratcliffe. Fox News says Mark Paoletta, former White House attorney, could be the Attorney General. He's already working on the transition team. Fox News also mentioned Matt Whitaker, former acting Attorney General, who temporarily led the Justice Department after Trump fired Jeff Sessions in his first term. So those are some names that Fox News mentioned. Oh, I can tell you, yeah, so the Washington Post said, they also said Mark Paoletta, Matt Whitaker, two of the ones that the other article mentioned, and Jay Clayton, the head of the SEC under Trump. These are some different names that the Washington Post mentioned. Oh, hold on a second here. Let me show you something here. This is interesting reporting from the Washington Post, by the way. If I can find it. You can see the Post says Trump picks Fox News host and veteran as defense secretary, capping frenetic day. So in this article, they talk about Kristi Noem. Trump has moved swiftly to announce at least 9 nominees for cabinet or senior administration posts, including South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security. In comparison, 1 week after Election Day in 2016, Trump had not named any cabinet picks. Neither had Joe Biden in 2020 or Barack Obama in 2008. So just a week after Election Day, he has named 9 nominees for cabinet or senior administration posts. Some of Trump's rapid-fire choices surprised his own staff, claims the Washington Post. Now, it's the Washington Post, so maybe they're more likely to post something negative that they heard. One person who's claimed there is a total atmosphere of chaos. No one knows where the leaks are coming from, and nothing is real until Trump announces it. There have been leaks. There certainly have been reports. I mean, Rubio. Multiple outlets have said that Rubio is a choice for Secretary of State, but he has not been announced yet. So Kristi Noem, that story came out yesterday, or I guess where I am right now, it's Wednesday. But a day before Trump announced Kristi Noem, that story was already out that she was going to be chosen. So there are leaks coming out about this stuff. The Post says some in the Trump's orbit had spent Tuesday trying to talk him out of selecting Noem, who would lead a sprawling federal bureaucracy, the Department of Homeland Security, with a $60 billion budget and more than 230,000 employees. The role is key to Trump's domestic policy agenda, especially given his pledge to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and impose a crackdown at the U.S.-Mexico border. A Trump advisor said, what does she know about FEMA? What does she know about Homeland Security? She's the governor of South Dakota. Look, I would certainly not be surprised. I'm guessing this happens with any president, that among the president's advisors, there are differences of opinion about who the president should pick for certain positions. And I certainly wouldn't be surprised with somebody like Kristi Noem if there were some people I'm sure who advise him love the pick. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were some people who didn't like the pick. Probably similar with Hegseth as well. They also, interesting, say Trump has, at least so far, not done the theatrics of his first transition, memorable for a C-SPAN stakeout of the Trump Tower elevators that documented the comings and goings of well-wishers and job applicants. Trump has not appeared in public since his election night victory party, making his nominees known through formal announcements and other statements. Trump will visit Biden at the White House tomorrow for a customary meeting with the outgoing president. Trump plans to speak to House Republicans at the Capitol. He is then scheduled to address donors and alumni of his first administration Thursday night during a Mar-a-Lago gala. Trump is likely to choose Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, according to people briefed on the selections. They say Trump's choices of politicians over outsiders this time reflects his own transformation as much as the entire GOP's. He has far more allies among elected Republicans to reward and has already ensured that never-Trumpers will not hold high-level positions in Washington come January. This is interesting. A political science professor said he's got a bigger pool of people to choose from this time. Here you've got a lot more elected officials who have some credibility in their own life and have thrown their lot behind him. Anyways. We'll have to see what happens. There's a lot to go on here. I'm going to read a few more comments from you guys. Let me read a few more comments from you guys. But look, it's November 13th. In 2 months and a week, Trump will take office on January 20th. And the sign suggests that and I've been hearing reported for a while now, that they've been making preparations and preparing to hit the ground running. And so what things are going to happen right away when he takes office? There could be some huge announcements or huge moves by Trump when he takes office. Corey says, I don't like Rubio as Secretary of State. We don't have some other positions that have not been filled yet. Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Commerce. I mean, there's a lot of them. Interior Secretary, Labor Secretary, Energy Secretary, Education Secretary. I'm just looking at a list here. Agriculture, Housing and Urban Development, Health and Human Services, Transportation, Veterans Affairs, Trade Rep, Small Business Administration, Science Advisor, Director of National Intelligence, Head of Management and Budget, Economic Advisors Chair. And Rubio has not been confirmed to be the nominee. David C. said, who's running transportation? That I do not. He has not made a choice yet. Real Sportsman says, Matt Whitaker campaigned with Trump. It will be him for Attorney General. Carry Your Shield says, do you think any of these appointments are deliberate to remove people from other positions with the intent to fire them later? There's this I saw this theory floated that Trump, again, I don't have any kind of good reporting on this. It's it just seemed like I don't know that it counts as a conspiracy theory, but the idea is that Trump wants Rubio to leave as senator. He's going to appoint Rubio as Secretary of State so he'll not be senator, and then DeSantis will appoint Lara Trump as the senator to replace Rubio. I saw this on social media last night. Again, there was no reliable sourcing behind this. It was just a theory that was being floated around, that it was a big scheme to get DeSantis to appoint Lara Trump as a senator. Rita says, but why? I don't know. I'm just telling you. This was being discussed on social media. Somebody asked about FBI director. FBI website says the FBI director is confirmed for a term to not exceed 10 years. Yes, the FBI director is appointed by a 10-year term. So it's not expected every new president will appoint a new FBI director. Trump would have to fire the current one, Christopher Wray, to appoint a new one. Yeah, Malicious DH says he would have to get into office first and then fire Wray before appointing a new one. Anyways. Hey, thanks, Brian Beelman. I appreciate that. Guys, we are normally not up this late covering a non-live news story, but I think there was a lot to talk about here. But I also think it's getting close to that time. I think we've done what we intended to do, which was to come on the air and give you an update on some of the big stories happening with the transition. I mean, of course, there's more to talk about, but we can cover this more when there's more developments. My intention is to actually try to get on the air kind of more during the day with this stuff. But we hadn't covered it yet, so I wanted to get on the air and talk about it. Hey, thanks to SW from South Africa, I think. Is that where you are? Who thinks idiocracy has become real? It sounds like SW is not a fan of the Trump administration. Oh no, Argentina. SW is from Argentina. Okay, I think it's our time. I think it is our time. But I'm glad we did the stream and we were able to cover some of this. Sorry it was so late, but we'll try to get on the air during a more normal hour to cover some of this stuff in the future. Okay, but I appreciate you guys coming in and being here for the stream. Thanks for being here. We'll have certainly more coverage of news in the coming days. And subscribe and follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. And you can follow me on X for news updates at Lookner on X. I post news updates there at Lookner on X. Oh, by the way, I forgot to read this. Scott McFarlane reported that Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, when asked about the nomination of Pete Hegseth as defense secretary, said, "I'd have to think about it." Let's see. Hey, thanks to JRW fan. I appreciate that. JRW fan says both Musk and Musk's mom posted that Lara Trump would be a great pick for, the Senate? That's not meaningless social media. I didn't see those. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yes, May Musk posted the next senator for Florida should be Lara Trump. She did post that. And then Elon Musk reposted that and said Lara Trump is genuinely great. That was 7 hours ago. See, May Musk said the next senator for Florida should be Lara Trump, and Elon Musk said Lara Trump is genuinely great. So maybe he's lobbying Trump to lobby DeSantis. I think it's if Rubio has to leave because he's Secretary of State, then it's up to DeSantis to appoint a new one, I believe. I believe. Thanks, JRW fan, for mentioning that. Hey, I really appreciate you guys watching and also sending in comments. Glad we got to read some comments tonight. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your comment, but I really appreciate people all writing in. A lot of good questions and suggestions and comments. But we'll have more coverage of this and other stories. Hey, let's thank our moderators. Oh, subscribe and follow the channel, by the way, and turn on notifications. We come on when there's big breaking news. So we have a notification system. It works awesome where you can, you sign up for notifications. It's free. You sign up and then you get sent a notification every time we go live. So sign up for the free notifications. The mods will post the link in the chat. You can find it in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook as well. Let's see here. Let's thank our moderators. Our moderators are awesome. They are the best. Really appreciate them being here. They're the ones who keep things under control in the chat. Over there on Twitch, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Sarah, all of our other Twitch moderators. On Facebook, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson, Kay Lowry Body, thanks for moderating. Ronald Egnor, Linda Belk and Larry on X. And I think I got the moderators. Roberts May Queen, Ruth Krafasi on YouTube, RJ, thank you for moderating. I think Cynthia Moon might have been over there too. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody who donated. That's super nice of you guys. Wow, really kind of you. Really appreciate your support for the channel. Very, very nice of you. I think I thanked everybody. Moonshadow subscribed on Twitch. Thank you, Moonshadow WX. Moonshadow X. If you ever want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But thanks so much for all your support of the channel. Really, really nice of you. Let's see. What else did I want to mention? I mentioned follow me on X. Follow Agenda Free TV on X, where I will post scheduling updates. I always post there when we're going live. I sometimes post some news about the channel. At Agenda Free TV on X. Follow over there. And a quick reminder for those who subscribe on YouTube, turn on the YouTube notifications. But to do that, they're helpful if you watch on YouTube, to have the YouTube notifications on. So YouTube can let you know when we're going live or when we are live. But to do that, you got to, when you subscribe on YouTube, you got to click this bell. Click the notifications bell. Activate it, and then choose all notifications. So if you subscribe on YouTube, make sure you got the bell checked and the all clicked. Okay. Also, hey, thanks to our Facebook subscribers. Really appreciate your support, like Lynn Powell, Margaret Riley, Marie Goodson Hamilton, Leanne Ticknor, Kay Lowry Body, Lynn Powell. Did I say Lynn Powell already? Thank you. All of our Facebook subscribers. Really appreciate your support. Eve Richards, Lou Green. Thank you. Thanks also to Robert Rial II. All of our Twitch subscribers. Thanks for subscribing over there. Devil Doc, Jack's Animals, Wall Street and Shaggy. Crystal Coder. AgraJag TV. Douthus. All of our other Twitch subscribers, thanks for your support. And our YouTube members, wow, all of our YouTube members, thanks so much for being members over there, like Benny Hill, Joe Hart, Teresa, Crazy Yoda, Serenity, Rita, Dr. McRib, PZ Papa Zulu, Mama of Six, Arcadia, Gringo. Thanks, Gringo, for all the gift memberships, too. It's really nice of you. Serenity. Hey, thanks, me, for gifting a Mel for gifting a membership. Thanks, Mel, and thanks to our member, Crazy Yoda. Thank you both. Cajun Shrimp, thanks for being a member. John Flick. TJ Adams, Cryptomeria. Jane Jones, Son of Revolution. Doyle Tenney. Brian Beelman, thanks for your support, Brian Beelman. Truth WSYF, Ronin. TJ Adams, Gizmo Hardy, Chaz, Complex Pixel, Gene Romaine, Ann Breedenstein, NY Committee, Toby M, and all of our other members over there. Thanks for being members over there on YouTube. Thanks, Trav, for watching. And thanks to everybody else for watching, too. I appreciate it. Laser Rolly. Tribold Helen. All right, wrapping it up. Thomas Hall, thanks for watching. And everyone else. Sharon Klassen Goslin. All right, so Rocky Coast is going to be an interesting 4 years. Well, I think you're going to see a bunch different happening. I think you're going to see a bunch happening when he takes power. We'll see what it is. All right, guys. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to see. All right, guys. That is it for now. You've been watching our live update on the Trump transition. And if there's big news, more big news, we'll cover it more. That is it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.